Mega Man. What is up with Mega Man? What is all this? Why did they release Mega Man 10 after Mega Man 6? Where are Mega Man 7 through 9? Oh, they're here. But why did they make another Mega Man 10 20 years later? Did they forget? Silly Capcom. Mega Man X, Mega Man Legends, Mega Man Battle Network, Mega Man Star Force. This one has 2 versions for each numbered release for some reason. Mega Man Zero. You think Kingdom Hearts is stupid? Try to explain this to someone who's not autistic. As someone extremely neurotypical myself, I didn't get any of this when I first came into contact with this franchise. It was just 12-year-old me, my old Silver DS Lite, and Mega Man ZX. I was really into it. It had explosions, it had robot guys with laser swords, it had a lot of anime cliches, and it had just the right amount of edge for my pubescent mind to think it was the coolest thing ever. And I still think it's the coolest thing ever. I went on a trip a couple of years ago and I took my old DS with me. I beat this game 3 times in 3 days. I can't get enough of it. So why does it feel like nobody else gives a shit about it? I thought Mega Man was a pretty popular franchise. Why are people so into this, and not this? I want to go through this game again in this video. Hopefully by the end of it, someone who watches it might be inclined to try Mega Man ZXL, or at least put it in their backlog to rot for eternity, but with the slight idea that it might actually be good. And if you want to be one of the 32 people who watch my next video, you might want to subscribe. If you do, not only will you be more likely to see my future uploads, you will also contribute to making me less depressed when I'm staring at my video analytics, which is something you'll be able to count as your good deed for the day. Liking also works, or leaving a comment telling me how awful of a person I am for using ableist slurs. Okay, the video. The intro cutscene dumps some exposition about how our protagonist's parents were killed in a Maverick raid. Mavericks being rogue machines basically, and this gyro guy saved and raised them. Also, they're supposed to deliver an important package, and would you look at that, some robots blow up their shit. Anyway, in this game you get to choose your character's gender. That's whether they're body type A or B for those of you in the audience with hair dye poisoning. Never say this is not an inclusive channel. Vent is the boy, Ale is the girl. The choice is mostly inconsequential. The story doesn't really change at all based on it, and in terms of gameplay, Vent has less knockback and Ale crawls faster. The differences are so small I doubt most people would notice either way. They both get slightly different dialogue as well, reflecting their ever so slightly different personalities. They're both generic anime protagonists with everything that comes with it. The impulsive personality and propensity for monologues about justice and protecting the innocent basically. Ao just acts a little more, body type feminine because of her vagina and all that. It reflects a bit on her dialogue and the way other characters interact with her because this game came out in 9 BCY, that is before the current year, or 2006 AD if you still use the Gregorian calendar. Ale also gets to change her color palette, which is pretty cool. I usually choose her because I'm a degenerate weeb, but I think she's cute. Back to the game, Ale conveniently falls right next to the people she was supposed to deliver the package to, and they get attacked by a giant snake. The package was a floating robot head thing that can make it transform into your favorite Mega Man characters from the good old days. She shoots the snake thing, it escapes, and finally we get to play the game. This is Model X. As the name subtly implies, it's basically X from the Mega Man 10 series. The old one. It has a ranged moveset, a pea shooter that's entirely useless in this game from my experience. I literally never ever used the basic shot. And it has 3 levels of charge. Level 1 is this green blast. It's strong enough to get rid of some of the weaker enemies in a single shot. That's where you want to use it. Level 2 is a powerful blast that will kill most basic enemies. Finally, level 3 gives you an even more powerful blast you can shoot after the previous one, effectively letting you attack twice with a full charge. You want to keep the attack button held down for most of the time while traveling. Mega Man ZX is a fast as fuck game. You get this dash you can spam to your heart's content right from the get-go. It uses the left shoulder button by default, so all face buttons are left free to use in conjunction with it. The game really expects you to spam the shit out of it, and why wouldn't you? Well, because you go so fast you won't see enemies coming if you're not careful. This is the basis of what makes this game so addictive to me. It gives you the tools to blaze through it, but if you don't know how to use them properly, you're in for a hard time. You can always slow down, but as you play the game you start to get a feeling for the level design. I swear to God, you start to predict where enemies will be based on what would make sense in the level. And I don't say that just because I've played this game from start to finish over a dozen times at this point. Another important movement technique is wall climbing. You can also do this from the get-go, and unlike many other 2D platformers that feature a wall jump, they pretty much let you go crazy with it. You get full control of your character as soon as you jump off the wall, meaning you can go right back and chain wall jumps together, which allows you to effectively climb any wall for as long as it goes. You can even combine the dash with the wall jump. Both of these moves made their debut in King Mega Man X, but they are so much faster here and feel a lot more responsive. Something I love about this game is how there's basically no lag involved in any move. You can cancel moves into each other and they have basically no startup frames. Everything feels extremely responsive. Compare wall jumping and dashing in Mega Man ZX to Mega Manx. This game makes you feel so fucking cool all the time. Mega Man ZX has some very glaring flaws, and we'll get to those, but the core gameplay is so fucking good. And the graphics. I'm not exaggerating when I say I think this is some of the absolute best pixel art ever put to a video game. The DS was pretty much the last hurrah of pixel art in video games outside of the indie scene, so it makes sense that we have some of the best looking games in that style. The DS Castlevania games also come to mind. Mega Man ZX looks perfect. The backgrounds are fantastic, the animations are so cool. It has a really unique art style. Everything looks really bulky and yet packed with detail and put together so elegantly. The colors are vibrant and beautiful and every area looks distinct. This is a relic from an era when 2D games weren't seen as low-budget side projects. A time when large companies put real resources and talent towards developing 2D games. Anyway, this first level is quite short and straightforward. A little further ahead, the snake from the cutscene is waiting, and is our first boss. It's a little hard for me to assess this, considering I've played through this game a trillion times, but I think this is a decently challenging first boss. It requires good timing and positioning to dodge its attacks, and can only be damaged by attacks to its head. When in its upright position, which is most of the time, you can only reach its head with the larger hitbox of a fully charged shot from the highest point of a jump. I take this as the game teaching you to focus on using fully charged attacks on bosses. Snakey goes down quickly, but it can catch newer players off guard. This is far from a brain-dead fight. A little further ahead, Ayo meets some members of the Guardians, the organization that hired her and Gyro to deliver Mother X, and learns that he hasn't been found. Prairie, a Guardian girl Ayo saved from the snake, tells the others to let her keep Model X in order to find Gyro. At this point, we get two missions that can be completed in either order. It's also when we first come into contact with this game's most glaring flaw. When you accept a mission in Mega Man ZX, you don't get transported to a new level. No. You have to walk there. And how do you get to where you need to go? Fuck if I know. Good luck, pal. When you take a mission, you can read the description of it, which tells you in which area it takes place. But it doesn't tell you how to get there. And the map the game gives you looks like this. Yeah, I don't know either. Right now, one of the missions we can take takes place in Area B, and the other in Area C. We can see by the writing under the doors in the data room we're in that we're in Area A2. If we go right, the next room connects to Areas B1 via this cave on top of the hill and C1 via this door at the far right. But how is a new player supposed to know this? You might take the Area B mission, end up in Area C and go all the way through it without knowing you're not supposed to go that way. Thankfully, the area available at this point is not too large and sort of loops around on itself, but this is an issue that will only get worse as the game progresses. The mission in Area B is to find Gyro. Area B is called Mountain Pass, but it looks like an industrial zone or a port or something. It's another straightforward level with mostly the same enemies we fought in Area A. We have to find a few computer chips in order to beat the mission, but they're all basically in the way and very hard to miss. There's a save room near the end of the area that connects to Area C, so you might make a mental note of that for the next mission. The boss here is kind of shit. It's a flying ship that drops containers. We have to shoot the right one while it's under it so it'll fly up and damage it. It takes way too long and is not very stimulating. Dealing the final blow will cause Gyro to show up and steal our kill, the fucker. So Gyro was never in danger. In fact, he is also a Mega Man, which means he has a biometal like Model X that lets him transform into a cool robot guy and fuck shit up. His is based on Zero from Mega Man Zero, which doesn't come before Mega Man 1, but after Mega Man 10-6. He doesn't think it might sound kind of weird and be a bit emotionally damaging to tell Ariel that she was a chosen one and he was looking after her ever since her mother died because the Guardians told him to. Man, just, maybe add a "but I still loved you like a daughter or a little sister" or something, just to reassure her, come on. After we finish a mission, we need to go back to a data room to turn it in. Then there are 3 ways to make it to Area C for the next one. First, we can teleport back to Area A2 from B2 and keep going to the right until we reach a sub-area of C1. Second, we can simply take the right door in the data room, which will take us straight to C1. Finally, we can do the intuitive thing and keep going after the boss, which turns out to be by far the worst option. The cave at the end of Area B2 takes us to Area D2, which has another passage that leads to a data room that's connected to the very end of C2. The problem with this is that you need to speak to an NPC at the very start of Area C to properly do this mission. What's worse is, for some reason I cannot begin to comprehend, the developers of this game decided to seemingly randomly revoke the ability to teleport from a few data rooms, including this one at the end of Area C. So if you do what most people would do after beating the airship boss and keep going right, you'll end up at the wrong end of the area you're supposed to be in. Have to cross the entire thing to start this extremely boring mission that consists of talking to a bunch of NPCs and that will take you across the area again, an area, mind you, that has basically no enemies that are threatening in the slightest, that requires you to keep transforming back into human form to crawl through holes. So we make it back to the place where we came from in the first place, finish the quest, and guess what? Now we've been summoned to Area X, which can only be accessed via teleportation. And if you remember, this data room for some reason does not have that. So now we have to trek all the way back to the data room in either the forest or the mountain pass. Look, I love this game, but I won't pull any punches. This is really fucking poorly thought out. Let's address the elephant in the room. Mega Man ZX is trying to be a Metroidvania, and it does a very crappy job at that. The way this game's map is laid out and presented is the worst thing about it. I've been playing this game for over 15 years and I still get lost sometimes. It doesn't help that this is the map screen. Make sense of that. I have no idea what I'm looking at. It shows what areas connect to what, but only after you visit them, and even then, it doesn't show how they connect. It's very, very bad. I have no idea how they expected a new player to navigate this game world. And really, all that it needed was a decent map and to make every data room a teleport location. Done. No one would complain. I like the idea of an open interconnected map, but if you do this, there has to be some level of guidance. Exploration in a good Metroidvania is about making mental notes of inaccessible areas and returning when you find a way to access them. Exploration in Mega Man ZX is about aimlessly wandering around until you somehow stumble upon the area you're supposed to go to when you have the right mission. It doesn't help that areas are not locked behind abilities for the most part, but rather behind doors that require keys that you get from completing missions, so you don't even get to see what's behind them. How are you supposed to make a mental note of an area if you can't even see what it is? Area F is an area we'll have to visit a little later. Its entrance is in Area B. Wouldn't it make sense for the game to allow the player to enter Area F, see what it's like before hitting a locked door or obstacle that can't be traversed yet, and have it marked on the map so that they know where to go when they get the appropriate mission? Instead, the cave that leads to it is behind one of the few instances where you need an ability you only get later, and even then, behind the cave itself is more Area B, and right at the entrance is a door we can't go through. It's like the game is trying its hardest not to let you know where things are. Some NPCs might tell you about how to get to certain areas, but it's not like the game tells you to talk to them to gather information either. I like the idea here, but it's so poorly implemented it hurts. Mega Man Zero has an interconnected world, but it might as well not have one, since you just get transported to each area when you take missions. Mega Man ZX tried to actually make it a part of the game, but the implementation was so bad I legitimately think this might be the main reason why this game isn't as beloved as I wish it was. I learned to navigate this as a child. I know where everything is for the most part. It's not a problem for me. I get to enjoy the amazing combat and platforming, but for a new player this can easily be a deal breaker. The sad truth is, for as much as I think the level design here is good, the world design is simply not. It's not designed well enough to get away with not having a map system, and the map system that is here is not nearly strong enough to support it. And that sucks. I don't usually advocate for this sort of thing, but if you choose to play this game and end up getting stuck, just look for a real map online. Well, anyway, Area X is the Guardian base, and it's a flying ship. Here we get some exposition about the Guardians and how they fight against Mavericks. Rare turns out to be their leader. An alarm sounds signaling a Maverick raid in the city, and Nail storms off talking about justice and protecting the weak and shit, even though everyone else tells her to stay put, because she's a generic anime protagonist. Thankfully this time the game sends us straight to where the next mission takes place. Gyro follows Ale and tells her he'll help out. Then he just fucks off on his own. Gee, I wonder if something bad's gonna happen. This entire area is an homage to the first stage from Mega Man Cross, right down to the wheeled things rolling in our direction and the 2 giant bee robots we have to kill. There's also a life up upgrade here. It ups your life. There are 4 of these that can be found throughout the game. Gyro's up ahead having a little nap while surrounded by his new buddies. The big buff guy is Serpent, and he owns the evil mega corporation that rules this country. Who would have guessed a guy named Serpent would turn out to be evil? Gyro is now being mind controlled and tells Ale to shoot him. He's our boss fight for the mission. I've always found the fights with humanoid enemies to be the coolest. Gyro is fast and relatively aggressive, and his attacks mostly test your positioning skills. It's a good fight, but being this early in the game it goes down somewhat easily. Gyro's new friends are back to dump some more exposition. Basically, Serpent wants to awaken Biometal Model W, which is based on Mega Man Zero's Dr. Wile. This is supposed to turn him into a god, yada yada, you know how it goes. His 2 sidekicks are Prometheus and Pandora, and I love them. Prometheus is the edgelord character. He has a scythe and he's cool and he says a lot, and he talks about how pathetic things are and he doesn't afraid of anything. Also, he wears a codpiece, so you know he has balls. Pandora has the reggae anime clone voice and she's cute. The Japanese version of this game is fully voiced. The Western release didn't bother and just cut the whole thing out. Considering how the Western voice acting for the sequel turned out, I can't help but think it was for the best.
Well, how's that lock coming?
You can mod the game to get the Japanese voices in a more accurate translation, which I did. Prometheus reflects a shot back at Ale and they leave her for dead. Gyro is laying next to her and is only being kept alive by his biometal. He orders Model Z to go fix Ale up instead and dies. This causes Model Z and X to merge, turning Ale into, wait for it, Mega Man ZX.
He said it! He said it!
Back at the airship, Prairie tells Zeo she needs to collect 4 more biometal fragments that hold the key to the core of Model W, since what Serpent has right now is only a fragment of it, and these will be our next missions. The first mission on the list, and the one I find to be the best to do first anyway, takes place in Area E, and we need to make our way back to that useless data room with no teleporter in the city area to get there. I like transporting to the mountain pass and going through the start of Area D to get there, but you can go to the forest and cross all of Area C again. City just sucks absolute balls, so I avoid it as much as possible. Anyway, the golden door in the far right of Area C2 takes us there, and we can open it now. Model ZX is now our base form for the remainder of the game. We no longer have access to Model X, and while that means no more overpowered double charged blasts, we now get a laser sword, and I think that makes up for it. The sword changes a lot about the way the game is played. Swinging it is basically instantaneous, and can be done from any state, standing, walking, dashing, or in the air. While standing, Ale performs a 3-hit combo. There's also this cool swirl attack performed by holding up while swinging the sword in mid-air, and it deals ridiculous amounts of damage. The sword is extremely powerful. A single swing is stronger than a stage 1 charge shot from the blaster, and capable of killing most basic enemies in one hit. This allows for a great state of flow when traversing the world, where the player can deal with enemies while barely ever stopping. The sword also has a charge attack, but unlike with the blaster, it's usually best to just swing it around a lot. And that's not all of Model ZX's moveset. While it loses X's double charge shot, it retains a blaster and can still shoot a single max charged blast, which is still very powerful. Area E is a power plant. It has a whole lot of electricity based obstacles, and if we blow up this generator at the end of a hidden path, we can disable them, which is cool. This is also where we find our first sub-tank. Sub-tanks act as health reserves. They fill up when we pick health drops with a full health bar, and they can be activated from the pause menu to refuel our HP bar at any moment. There are a total of 4 in this game. This excavator mini-boss requires constant wall jumping to dodge its charge and the laser beam it shoots. Its roller blocks attacks, so we have to aim our shots away from it. High Volt is the boss of this area. His attacks are made to force the player to quickly and precisely reposition in order to avoid them. After each attack phase, he'll give us plenty of opportunity to hit his legs with a charged shot, but if you feel confident, you can try to sneak in a few sword swings when he flies across the screen. When we beat him, the game will present us with a grade from 1 to 4. Bosses in Mega Man ZX have weaknesses. If we hit certain parts of their bodies, they take more damage. That also damages the biometal they're using, and that's what we're after. By beating High Volt, we get Model Age, which lets Sail turn green, and perform an air dash. It's by far the most overpowered basic biometal in the game. Every biometal other than X and ZX has an energy bar that dictates how much they can use their charge attacks. How large this bar is determined by how little we damage the biometal when fighting its respective boss. Getting a level 4 victory means we didn't hit the boss's weak points even once, and that's just the largest energy bar for that model. The energy bar can be increased later by taking it to the laboratory in the Guardian base and paying the scientist dude there. That's what the currency enemies drop is for. Either that or we can refight the bosses later in the game and go for higher ranks. Getting a level 4 victory also adds a miniature version of the boss to Prairie's room, so those of you suffering from completionist autism will have to do it either way. Model Age has the ability to air dash, and that by itself would already make it one of the most useful forms in the game, but even beyond that it's extremely overpowered. Its moveset seems simple at first. It gets 2 different sword slashes when grounded, expendable mid-air slash, and an energy ball that homes in on enemies as its charge attack. It also has a combo that shoots out a projectile. None of this is insane by itself, but we'll talk about what makes this form so broken when we unlock the final move in Model Age's arsenal later on. With Model Age unlocked, we can go collect another sub-tank in the forest area and do the remaining missions in any order. I usually go for Area G next, which unlocks Model F, the fire one, but I wanted to follow the mission order as it shows up in the list, so we'll do the mission in Area F, which unlocks the water biometal, Model L instead. It's the obligatory mountainous icy area. It has some annoying enemies that can freeze us, and also a few underwater sections. The underwater physics are not too bad. Jumping becomes a lot floatier, but we get a lot more height as well. Story-wise, we're here to respond to a distress signal. After beating a mini-boss that's pretty much just a reskin of the previous one from Area E, we find that there are no people left here, and instead we get a log that shows Serpent was in the research team that found Model W, before he also unpredictably betrayed them and murdered everybody. The area boss is Lurere. At first you can only see this small, cute robot, but after a few attacks a huge fish charges in, revealing she's actually an anglerfish, which is really cool. Great design. Her personality also reflects this idea of a bait and switch. It's easier to see with the Japanese audio. She has this really cutesy voice at first, but as she gets angry it changes into this really aggressive delinquent girl voice. Yeah, it's another anime cliche, but I love the character design here. Her main attack is sending projectiles in a V pattern that can be somewhat tricky to dodge with the floaty underwater physics, and she can also send out this snowflake that freezes AO, but can be shot in midair. Other than charging, the main fish body can also shoot a torpedo. Lurere's weak spot is her head, and since her body, minus the fish, is so small, it can be difficult to achieve a level 4 victory here unless you camp the fish, but that takes a while. Defeating her unlocks Model L, the water one. It can swim, and that's useful in a few areas, but there's little reason to use it otherwise because of how limited its moveset is. It basically only has this slash attack that's not weak or anything, but not versatile at all. Moving on to Area G. We must go through the highway area again to reach it. Annoyingly, right next to the area where we fought Gyro was a data room that can be teleported to, but we got sent back to the Guardian base before we could activate it, so that's 2 more dead bees. Area G is on fire for this mission. Let's talk a little bit about elements. Water, earth, fire, air. That's what you'd expect, but here it's water, electricity, fire, and nothing. The 4 elements of nature, yeah. Also, fire beats water, electricity beats fire, and water beats electricity. So it makes no sense at all. That's how it worked in the Zero series, and that's how it works here. We're talking about this because, as I said earlier, Area G is on fire. And how do you put out fire? With a ball of electricity, apparently. This level was made for Model Age. With it, we can fly over fire or just extinguish it altogether. The level's a bit of a mixed bag, all things considered. Flying around the burning city at night with Model Age is cool. Then we get to this building and we have to rescue some civilians, and it turns really fucking boring. We got 8 floors of people we have to find. If we try to talk to them while transformed, they'll refuse to go with us. So we have to go into each floor from this central staircase, fly over the flames or slowly charge an electricity attack, find the people, transform into our human form, go through their dialogue, transform again, make our way back to the staircase and do this until we get the message saying we can proceed. Then the rest of the level is fun again. Fist Leo is the boss here. He can heal himself, charge at us, jump around and cause some flaming blocks to fall down. It's a fast and dynamic fight. His weaknesses are his claws and he exposes them during most of his attacks, so it can be a tricky one to get a level 4 victory from. He shits out Model F when he dies. The fire one. Model F attacks with these fairly powerful bullets. He has this gimmick where you can customize the trajectory, which can actually come in handy a handful of times. It can also shoot straight up. He can break blocks that show up in a few levels with his charge shot, so he gets some use in Traverso, but only in a few very specific situations. I usually just end up switching back to Model ZX or H as soon as I can. So now that we have all elemental biometals, we should talk a little about Overdrive. All forms beyond X and ZX can enter Overdrive. It effectively doubles your damage at the cost of draining your energy. It also applies elemental damage to every attack when it normally would only apply to charge attacks. I stick with Model ZX for most bosses because I find it more fun to use, but taking advantage of Overdrive and elemental weaknesses is by far the most optimal way to play. Mega Man ZX also features a hidden combo system. Basically how it works is each attack is assigned a priority level. Bosses have invincibility frames that keep you from spamming attacks until they're dead, but attacks with higher priority ignore the invincibility frames of attacks with lower priority. These attack charts should give you an idea of how deep this system really is. It allows for some really crazy combos that, especially when combined with elemental weaknesses, can eliminate bosses in a matter of seconds. That's what makes the combat system here so interesting and fun to mess around with. There's one more biometal left to collect at this point. The next mission takes place in Area Age. Its entrance is all the way back in the forest. It's a theme park, and these are always cool areas in games. Visually, this is my favorite level. For some reason, it seems to be themed around these construction head enemies. There's not much to find here beyond basic energy and health refills, but it feels good to explore this place. You can ride the attractions and find cute little pointless interactions around it. This mission expands a bit on Nail's backstory and personality. This is where her mother was killed by Mavericks over a decade before the events of the game. At first she seems distant and aloof, but she keeps getting angrier as the mission progresses. The mini-boss is a giant construction head robot guy thing I don't know the name of. I always thought it looked cool, and it's fun to flail at it. If you can juggle your charge attacks and sword slash as well, it goes down pretty quickly even without abusing combos, but it's a very satisfying fight. Ao has a heart-to-heart with Prairie after defeating it, and the mission continues into an indoors area. There's a giant claw machine here which we have to escape. It's another great visual. Then after this rather annoying room where we have to jump from floating platform to floating platform over a bottomless pit while these annoying wasp enemies charge at us from the most inconvenient angles, we reach the boss room. Purprill is an ape robot. He pisses Zale off by calling the park Hiss. He jumps on and off of a vine in the ceiling, and his attacks consist mostly of throwing shit around. The fight tests you mostly on being able to navigate between wall jumping and dashing on the floor to avoid him. It's one of the more difficult of the regular bosses in the game in my opinion. It's chaotic and leaves little breathing room for the player. Good fight overall. Annoyingly, the data room we get after beating Purprill is another no teleport room. There's a separate path that circles around to the forest area beyond the boss room at least. Our reward this time around is Model P. P for piece of shit. It kinda sucks. I mean, as a concept, Model P is awesome. It turns Zale into a kunai spamming ninja. The problem is that it's kind of weak. The kunai don't deal a whole lot of damage, and this model doesn't have an elemental affinity, meaning it doesn't really excel at dealing with any bosses. Its gimmick is showing a radar in the bottom screen, and that doesn't really have a whole lot of utility either. You can also see better in the dark, but there's only one sub area in the entire game where that matters. It sucks because the transformation looks so cool, but Model P will warm the bench for the remainder of the game. To be fair, it's not horrible. It's far from being unplayable, and there's some neat stuff you can do with it, but it really does nothing other models can do better and easier. It might be fun for a challenge run. Turning in our 4th mission at this point will trigger an intermission, regardless of which one it is. Ellie is called back to the Guardian base, which is being attacked by Serpent security forces. While we're busy dealing with some boarding attempts, Prometheus and Pandora from the Model W fan club fly in. We find them at the lowest level of the ship. Prometheus edgily spouts some cryptic shit about a game and how everyone is a pawn. Everyone else fucks off and we get a boss fight against them. The music is awesome. I can't get enough of Trap Factory. Best track in the game. Prometheus circles between 3 attacks that always start with him at a fixed position, so beating him is basically about learning how to deal with each of those and executing well enough. It's really not that difficult, but I enjoy it. Did I mention the music is really good? It sucks that the fight is over so quickly. He goes away with a I'll let you off this time, kid. You're still 100 years away from being able to challenge me. Aya has her obligatory identity crisis because Prometheus called her one of them, and because Gyro never took the time to tell her he wasn't just taking care of her because he was ordered to, even though it was obvious she would have doubts about that. So, as it turns out, surviving a Maverick raid can make one able to use biometals. Somehow knowing that makes Zale stop brooding and we can keep going. There are 4 missions left to complete at this point. These will give us another charged attack and a larger energy bar for each of our biometals. Technically, you unlock a biometal's 2nd mission as soon as you finish the first one, and the interlude with Prometheus happens when you finish any 4 missions. Still, I expect most people to focus on unlocking every biometal first. Take a shot every time I say biometal. The biometals all hold part of a password that is needed to get to Model W's core, and that is what Serpent is after. They were all split in half, so that's why we need 4 more parts. We'll start off with the 2nd Model Age mission. Area I is connected to Area E where we fought Highvolt. Thankfully there's a teleport enabled data room there. This is the rainy area, so I love it by default. The story excuse for us to come here is that a group of people is being kept prisoner and we're supposed to save them. This level is unique in that it features 2 splitting paths. One leads to a dark indoors area that is the only place where Model P is useful in the game. The other takes us outside. Either way, we fight a hawk-like mini-boss that has a pretty complex moveset in comparison to most others and looks pretty cool. The boss is Hurricane? How the fuck do you pronounce this shit? Is it just Hurricane? Whatever, I like this one. The problem is she has a lot of attacks that don't really allow you to hit her while she performs them, so it drags on. This one specifically, where she goes to the center of the arena, summons a tornado and slowly shoots projectiles from top to bottom, is really bad. You just have to keep dashing away and jump over when she shoots next to the ground, and she does it twice in a row. After defeating her, we find the people we were looking for, and it is revealed Serpent had been killing Reploids, who are human-like machines from what I understand, to harvest them for Model W. Once we beat our 5th mission, one of the bosses we've already killed will come back. Beating that boss will cause another one to respawn and so on. This is how you can grind for higher ranks. Now we have Model Age's 2nd charge attack, which is pretty much the most powerful in the game. It's a huge tornado that hits multiple times. Combine it with overdrive and the combo system, and Model Age can easily kill basically any boss that's not a nice element in a few seconds if you know what you're doing. And even if you don't, most things will die in like 2 tornadoes anyway. It's pretty ridiculous. For now, let's keep going. Next is the second Model L mission, which takes place in Area J. To access it, we'll have to go through the forest for the millionth time. It's a proper underwater level. Luckily we have Model L now and can take advantage of its superior underwater movement. Beyond that, it's not very complicated. If anything, Model L makes it so that you can pretty much ignore most enemies and obstacles. The mini boss here kind of sucks. It sends out these tentacles that are the only part of it that can be damaged, but they retract as soon as you touch them. It takes longer than I would have liked. Laganshore is this giant squid. We can dispose of him really easily by using Model F as overdrive, since, if you remember, water is weak to fire in this game. The last two missions available at this point are by far the most annoying ones. Next up is the second Model F mission. This one takes place in Area K, a volcano. Gotta have one of those. The first part is fine. You can use geysers to access higher areas, so the way you tackle it is entirely up to you. It's a very open area. Then we get to this big hole I assume is the crater of the volcano. The mini boss here is the head of one of those basic robots encased by a lava monster. Only the head can be damaged, so it's invulnerable most of the time. It would be one of the more challenging mini bosses if it weren't for the fact that it's weak to Model H and we have its second charge ability. Normally inside the volcano we'd go through a couple of rooms, outrun some lava, and get to the area boss. The problem is that there's a sub-tank here. Remember these? Neither of the two we got so far is too hard to get. Another one is locked behind a side mission that takes place in an area we haven't been to. This one in Area K, for some reason, is a nightmare. So, in the lava room, as we run away, you might spot this blocked path up on the roof. We could theoretically break those with Model F, but there's no way we could make it in time. What we're supposed to do here is spot this opening in the room after the mini boss. Climb over it with Model H or Model P. Go through this vertical section while being chased by insta-kill lava and dodging these chains that come out of the walls. Go outside, find this hidden room, interact with the terminal that makes the lava flow slower. Go outside again, find this trolley that takes you back to the beginning of the level. Play through the whole fucking thing again. Make it back to the lava room, and now you have just barely enough time to break the blocks with Model F. And when I say barely, I mean barely. I got a game over here. You know what that means? Do everything I just described again. All of it. Then Model P gets his second and last chance to do anything, as there's a hidden door here that can only be found by using his radar. That's gotta be it, right? Nope. This room contains a button. It opens the door after the vertical lava chase, so you have to beat the area boss and come back again because the lava blocks you from backtracking. Then you gotta go through the lava shaft again. Is that it, you ask? Nope. Past the locked door we just opened, there's an underwater section full of insta-kill spikes we need to go through with Model L. Then we get the sub-tank. All of that for one upgrade. Honestly, you don't need 4 sub-tanks. Just go beat the game like a man, it's not worth it. If your crippling autism requires you to 100% every piece of software you have access to, there's this upgrade chip you can get from Science Student Guardian HQ after getting both halves of every biometal that makes attacks charge faster. Come back after you have it. It's still horrible though, be warned. Oh yeah, this game has side quests. Some NPCs will give us missions when we speak to them. These offer some usually pretty decent little upgrades. I don't usually bother with them, but they're nice things to have, like the aforementioned quick charge or the ability to block projectiles with sword attacks. Back to Area K, we still have to deal with the boss. Flamole is a flaming mole. I guess I gave up thinking of names for the bosses at this point. Not that it matters. He'll dive and fly vertically across the screen, and sometimes cause fire columns to rise from the ground. The most annoying thing about him is getting a level 4 victory here. His weak spot are his claws, and they cover his entire hitbox for most of the fight. If you don't want to bother with him, you can do the Model H tornado here and he won't last more than a few seconds. The final mission before the end game is for the second half of Model P. It takes place in Area L, and to get there we have to go through the entire first part of Area H again, including beating the mini-boss. It's quite a chaotic level. Bombs falling from the sky, enemies spouting at us from every direction, and these fucking satellite things that fuck with the controls. The blue waves invert directional inputs and turn off the dash. The pink ones make us unable to attack. That being said, the level has a nice flow when you get used to it, and you most certainly will if you want to 100% the game, because a sub-tank requires you to come here 6 fucking times. It's very multi-layered too. The boss is protected as a huge rhino thing, I guess. He's supposed to be heavily armored, but for some reason his belly is his weak spot. It's very easy to hit, so this is another boss that is annoying to get a level 4 victory from. Defeating him grants us the second half of Model Useless. I'll be honest, I didn't even know what the second charge level did before making this video. It gives us a shield of all things. Never used it in my life. Anyway, this is every Biometal mission. We can now enter Area M, where the Model W dig is taking place. Guess where it is. If you guess past the forest, you win. Every Biometal recites their password in a broken Japanese attempt at Latin in front of this huge door, and we're in. Area M is honestly not very memorable. It starts with a copy and pasted mini-boss from Area I. You can skip a large part of the level by breaking these blocks with Model F and crawling into this hole as a human. There is also a water section to justify Model L being in the game a little more. The boss here is Pandora. Serpent runs away with Model W and leaves her to stall us. It's a very good boss fight, and I'm not just saying that because I totally simp for her. Dodging her attacks requires good positioning and precise jumps. Once Pandora is dealt with, Prairie calls and informs us that Serpent is destroying the city, so we have to rush back to stop him. This next mission takes place in Area O, which is very similar to the highway of Area D and directly connected to it. It feels sort of like a mix between Areas D and G, and the enemies here are all repeats from other levels. It's a cool level, don't get me wrong. It feels very climactic. It just doesn't really do anything new. Prometheus and Pandora are awaiting us at the end. They reveal they were behind everything from the start and were simply using Serpent. Their objective is to awaken Model W for whatever reason. They spill a lot more cryptic shit about Destiny or whatever in their awesome edgy anime cliche personalities. Man, Prometheus and Pandora are just the coolest, I don't care. Now we fight both of them at the same time. Trap Factory, their theme song, is playing once again, and it's still the best song in the game. Their movesets are slightly changed from their solo fights in some instances, and they will weave in and out trying to catch us as we stop to catch our breath after dodging the previous attack. Moves that before could be dealt with by wall jumping now have to be properly dodged. Also, they have 3 health bars. It's a great fight, really memorable, and quite difficult as far as I remember from when I didn't have all their moves memorized. And even as it stands, I still had to use a sub-tank on my recorded attempt. It really is a great moment. After the fight, they go on about Destiny and the game and pawns again and don't really explain anything still. Never change Prometheus and Pandora. Then they fuck off somewhere and the game cuts back to Guardian HQ, where Prairie tells us to go to Serpent Cole's headquarters and beat him up. She also gives Zale some closure about Gyro and how much he cared about her. Then AO goes, Prairie and Gyro sitting in a tree. Kissing, and now we have access to the final mission in the game. The entrance to Serpent Cole HQ is in Area D, right next to a teleporter, so that's good at least. No more trips to the forest. As is Mega Man tradition, the main attraction here is a series of 8 refights against the Biometal bosses. They're not much of a problem at this point, but we don't get any free health refills in between fights, so that can be a bit concerning. The rest of the level mostly takes place in these boring elevators that take forever to go anywhere. Before the final boss, there's this long corridor with a few basic robot enemies that makes for a good spot to refill sub-tanks before we go in. Blah blah villain monologue, you know how it goes. Serpent wants to kill everyone to power up Model W so he can rule the world, blah blah. He transforms into the Model W Mega Man and the fight begins. This is a good fight. It's basically a 1v1 duel in a large arena. His hitbox is always available, unlike Prometheus and Pandora, who keep teleporting in and out. And he moves around a lot, unlike the more scripted feeling fights against the Biometal bosses. His moveset is not all that extensive. He has a spread shot that can be dashed under an uppercut. He can follow up with another spread shot from the air. A giant energy ball I only recently found out can be reflected back at him, and his light. Keeping distance is key here. I find using Model ZX's charge shot and jumping over him from the wall when he corners me works perfectly. Serpent gives us his anime villain laugh and explains how Ale's hatred for him was the final ingredient needed for awakening Model W. No Japanese game is complete without the final boss turning into some abomination. He goes on about the new age and blah 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 as he transforms into this thing. This is the final boss. He has 3 health bars and transforms further after each one is depleted. This one is actually really hard if you don't know what you're doing. I could not kill this boss as a kid for the longest time. I still don't feel confident I could reliably dodge all his attacks and beat him if I didn't know exactly what attacks to use in order to rush each of his forms. His hitboxes are all really high up, so Model ZX's spin attack and Model Ager's tornado are both good options. Shooting up with Model F works as well. As he goes down, he starts spouting the usual thing about how humans are rotten and we're standing in the way of progress or whatever and denying destiny, blah blah. I know it sounds like I'm shitting all over all the anime cliches, but I don't really mean it in a negative way. I think it's endearing if anything. This is not the deepest story in the world, but I miss the time when games were allowed to take themselves seriously even if they're not fucking Shakespeare. It's the same reason why I can't help but enjoy the stories in the Sonic Adventure games, stupid as they may be. I'm sick of self-referential post-ironic writing. Sometimes I want a story to simply appeal to my 13-year-old self that still exists buried somewhere inside my rotten old Zillennial soul. These cliches all exist for a reason, and when you're deeply invested in the world, it's nice not to have your immersion broken by some soy-faced 40-year-old going, "Wink wink, nudge nudge, am I right, fellow kids?" because he's not confident enough his work will hold up to scrutiny, so he preemptively beats it down and erects a shield of irony, so he can later pretend anything that doesn't work was just a joke all along. Now like my shitty video and subscribe to my shitty channel, fellow kids. And you know what? I think this game did make me think. For how overplayed this trope is, I actually think the final message about how you control your own destiny is really well delivered. Serpent's speech strikes a chord with Ayo and Jarl's spirit appears to recomfort her. I think it's the way he says it. He explains the concept of destiny as coming from the idea of directing something towards a destination. It's not that there is no such thing as destiny, but rather that anyone can influence it, so you might as well do it yourself. I don't think any of these destiny speeches that are at the end of every anime have ever actually landed with me before this one. It's a nice little message to close off a nice little game. And with that, the game is cleared, but there's still some stuff to do. First of all, playing through the game again as Vent and clearing it will unlock the ability to keep Model X even after you obtain Model ZX for all future playthroughs. Model X itself is a lot more powerful throughout the game than you might expect. Its charge shot absolutely destroys most bosses. If we ignore the hidden combo system that can make Model H absolutely ridiculous, I'd say it's easily the best overall model for disposing of bosses in the game. And there's one more biometa that can be obtained after beating Serpent. If we go to Area M where we fought Pandora and keep going past the data room, we will reach Area N. I wonder what the N stands for. Here, past a really annoying classic Mega Man style disappearing platform section over spikes, there's a boss arena. And here awaits the bane of anyone who's ever played this game. This is Omega. He was the final boss of Mega Man 03, and he's back with a vengeance. The music, Cannonball, kicks absolute ass. He's extremely aggressive and powerful. His attacks have ridiculous range and he can close distances in a blink of an eye. He can also heal himself and catch you in absolutely devastating combos. Even with sub-tanks, this is a difficult fight for first timers. In hard mode, he's an absolute nightmare and can kill you in one combo effectively. Oh yeah, hard mode. We didn't talk about that. So, hard mode is only unlocked after you beat normal mode, which kinda sucks, but I think it makes sense here. It really is hard. Basically, we can only get one sub-tank here. The one from the really annoying and boring side quest in Area L, which is made a lot more annoying by the fact that there are no life ups in this mode at all. Enemies and bosses attack faster and often shoot out more projectiles, and we take a lot more damage on top of having that reduced health bar. So back to Omega, after you beat him, you still have to make your way back across the disappearing platforms over the insta-kill spikes, and getting a game over means refighting Omega. It sucks. If you make it back, go into a room at the bottom of this area will give you a mysterious rock. Taking it back to the lab at Guardian HQ will unlock Model O, by far the most powerful biometal in the game. It's based on Omega, who we just fought, and it has access to attacks from every element, as well as infinite overdrive. Beyond that, it plays similar to Model ZX. It's really fun to use. Also in Area N, we can fight a selection of bosses from Mega Man 03 and 4. Beating all of them is an alternative way to unlock Model O. In the original DS version of the game, these were locked behind some sort of integration with the GBA cartridges, but in the Zero ZX Legacy Collection, they're available from the get-go. And that's another thing we didn't talk about. Mega Man ZX was re-released in 2020 as a part of the Mega Man Zero/ZX Legacy Collection. It's the version I played for this video. It's basically a straight port. I think it's being emulated even, but don't quote me on that. It features a save assist mode that makes the game easier, but that's gay. I don't even know how it works because I'm a manly man and not a little girl. Either way, it's a good way to play the game. An added bonus is the fact that on PC you can easily mod in the Japanese voices that were cut for the Western release and the CD quality official soundtracks. The filters suck absolute ass though, so I hope you enjoy raw pixels. I still think the game looks best pixel perfect on a DS's tiny little display. And well, I think that's all I wanted to say about Mega Man ZX. The game is not perfect, it has some very dumb flaws that will inevitably keep a good amount of people from being able to fully enjoy it, but I'm not one of those people. I love this game like you wouldn't believe. I said a lot of negative things in this video, but to be frank, none of that really matters to me. I can play this game all day long. I've long since adapted to all of its quirks. To me, there is simply no game that scratches the same itch as Mega Man ZX. No other game has this combination of amazingly fluid movements, responsive controls, and deceptively deep combat. I just beat Mega Man X for the first time ever during the making of this video, and surely enough, it is a great game, but for entirely different reasons than Mega Man ZX. Maybe I'll talk about that in more detail in the future, but for now, suffice to say, just moving around in Mega Man ZX is such a polished, rewarding experience that I could spend hours doing it. And Mega Man X in comparison just doesn't feel as good despite featuring a very similar moveset. Is Mega Man ZX for you? I'll try to answer that with my experience. I don't even think Mega Man ZX is supposed to be for me. I usually like slower games that feature long-term progression or simple games with little blow. Mega Man ZX is neither. What Mega Man ZX is a game that feels amazing in the moment-to-moment gameplay. If you are someone who appreciates polished, precise movements and deep combat systems, then I think Mega Man ZX has the potential to be your next obsession. If only you can break through its idiosyncratic, contradictory design choices. Which is to say, give it a try. What's the worst that could happen? This is the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, watch all my other videos, tell your grandmother to watch my videos. She probably won't even notice this is not the infomercial channel. Don't make me beg because I will. Bye.